Hey there.
Hi, everybody.
What's up?
How's it going?
So, we're throwing back to Rogue One because Solo's coming out, and we're like, gotta watch the non-numbered Star Wars movies again, so...
Solo came out this weekend, and we're definitely going to try to make our next date night be a Solo night.
For sure. We can just find a babysitter. Parent life. Hashtag parent life.
Parent life.
But yeah, we're starting to call these videos videos and veggies because we're eating a lot of vegetarian food
And
these
trying to be
days.
healthy. A lot of
And
tofu.
most of the time we watch these movies while we're eating dinner. So that's kind of what came about with this whole idea of making these videos, because we were watching movies and eating every night and talking about this stuff ourselves and just being like, you know, let's put this up. So that's what's up. Videos and veggies.
Videos and veggies.
Number one. Today we are eating some spaghetti with
baked tofu and a medley of roasted vegetables.
good stuff. Yeah. So let's dig into the food and dig into Rogue One.
Fun times.
So
I want to open up saying that I know that when Rogue One first came out and then there was The Force Awakens, that a lot of people were like, oh, which one do you prefer more? And then after seeing Rogue One, I preferred Rogue One. And this was one of the topics of discussion that we had last night. We were talking about it, and something that we had spoken about before. And the reason why I love Rogue One so much is because of the strength of her story. Like, it is a female character, but to have to stay so true to the concept of the 1970s and have her fit in the world, it just feels like it did belong at that time. Like, the quality was stupendous, but the blending of the filmmaking from the episodes 4 through 6, and then having this be like a prequel to all of that. I'm gonna get you right here because you got,
what do you got?
okay, napkin. I think it just
I got a
really
stubble just like grabs the napkin. Anyways.
So I think it like really lends itself to it, and that's the reason why I just really love Rogue One. I really love it. I was a little tired last night, started falling asleep a little bit, and I was like, no, I love this movie. Why am I falling asleep? I'm like, I don't know, maybe because all of our kids are sick right now, and I haven't been sleeping well. So if one cries, please forgive me, because I'll have to run and go to attend to my child.
Yeah, that actually, when you're talking about falling asleep, that actually goes to a lot of sort of the criticism of Rogue One. Obviously, a lot of people love Rogue One. We love Rogue One. We got the Blu-ray with the little picture of K2SO on the front, you know, with it like opens up, it's a booklet and stuff. But yeah, K2SO is awesome. We'll talk about that. But a lot of people talk about the differences between Force Awakens and Rogue One, because The Force Awakens, a lot of people feel is just a stronger overall movie, but Rogue One has a much more powerful ending. I mean, it's hard to beat Han Solo dying at the end of The Force Awakens, but like the end of this is just everybody's dead. They all die. They all die. I mean, spoilers.
If you haven't seen this movie,
like
this
2
is
years
a
ago, but
spoiler.
still,
And yeah,
but,
because you know, sometimes people are like, I've never seen this movie. Why should I watch this movie? You know, why is this movie important? Why is Solo going to be important? Well, because we enjoy the Star Wars world. That's something that's I mean, it's entertaining. It's great storytelling. It's got great, you know, impact on life. It's just, I mean, that's why it's a multi-billion-dollar movie, because of how amazing it is.
Yeah, but a lot of the differences are the difference in the story is also the difference sort of in the lead actresses, or the lead characters, who
Felicity
are women.
Jones.
Felicity Jones and Rey, played by Dorothy. Let's give her a name. I'll remember it in a second. But Daisy Ridley. So Rey is a very active character in The Force Awakens. You know, she saves BB-8. She decides to help out Finn, and she makes a lot of
Yeah.
decisions, but Jyn Erso in Rogue One is kind of a passive character. A lot of things happen to her. Somebody saves her from prison against her will. They make her, take on this mission to find her dad against her will. Somebody gives her a piece of information about her dad, and that's when she starts being active. She starts saying, well, I want to find my dad. I want to take this information. We have to get the rebellion going. But that's like halfway through the film, which, much like reflected in the movie, the second half of Rogue One a lot of times feels a lot stronger because it is much more active. Boom, boom, boom. This happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. Whereas you might say Force Awakens has a more overall flow, but it's like what's more impactful, the death of Han Solo or the hallway scene with Darth Vader? I mean,
okay. But,
what are you gonna say?
So as he's saying, things just happen to her, but sometimes that happens in life. Like you don't have control of things. You can't always make things happen. Things happen to you, and you just have to roll with the punches. Like, was it her choice that she wanted to have her father taken away, her mother killed, and her left, to be saved by, oh my God, Forrest Whitaker's character? Now it's blinking my mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. So, like, she doesn't always have these things.
Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera. Yeah, Saw Gerrera. So, all of these things happen to her, and a lot of times we don't have the choice of just continuously going through and going through.
Sure.
So her just reacting and having to take in all this stuff, and then like she hasn't seen her dad in 15 years, and all of a sudden she's supposed to know all this information about him. And like, don't you see, like she said that him being dead is so much easier for her because she doesn't want to have to feel that pain. She doesn't want to feel that loss. And why be reminded of that? Rey, on the other hand, is like tortures herself almost with the loss of her parents. Really, like, where's her parents? Where's her parents?
They both have really tragic backstories,
Right.
But it's more of the idea of the storytelling. What do they make the person do? But that's why they're different stories. They're different stories about different parts of the Star Wars saga. And different people reacting differently. I mean, like, you could say that Rey is a very, heroic character. She always does what's right, She's always trying to look out for the little guy and do the right thing, whereas a lot of times Jyn Erso, she's just somebody looking out for herself. And it's that story of somebody who's sort of looking out for herself to becoming, one of the heads of the rebellion,
Totally self-sacrificing.
Totally self-sacrificing, willing to just die there on the beach. And it's just like, that makes a really big arc, So, different stories, and people can argue all day long whether if they like Rogue One or Force Awakens more. The point was, at the time, everybody was just so glad that was something we could do. It wasn't just so cut or dry, like, oh, this is better than that. Like a lot of people might say that the Force Awakens is so much better than Last Jedi. Like, it's kind of unanimous. People think, okay, Force Awakens is better than Last Jedi, as opposed to Rogue One or Force Awakens is like, I don't know. So I remember, right after Force Awakens came out, it was just like, how great to be living in a time where it's just a toss-up, Now, I often think about how nothing sort of lasts forever, you know what I mean? We had a little bit of a golden age with Star Wars, and now, then we had Last Jedi, which was very controversial. Now we have Solo, which is getting mixed reviews and, has a much lower box office than any of the other previous Star Wars movie. So, things go like this. Who knows? Episode 9 could just be phenomenal, and the Boba Fett movie could just be out of this world. So we'll see how it goes. We're still fans. We're going to see it all.
Of course.
We love it, so. And we're sure you guys do too. So we'll just stick with it and see how it goes.
If you haven't seen this movie yet, prepare yourself for awesome tribute to,
Don't watch this if you haven't seen it yet. Really, you got to see the ending. The ending is amazing. Just don't watch this.
Okay,
Go watch it and come back.
So I'm really excited because David Crossman and Glenn Dillon are the ones who did the costume design for this movie. And I really love it because they attribute a lot of the things that they did for this movie to John Mollo, who is the original costume designer for Darth Vader and all of the first 3 movies, 4, 5, 6. And anytime they were stuck, they're like, well, let's go check out John's stuff and see if we can get inspired. So that's how they got inspired to get that black stormtrooper, very sleek, very defined, and had him look less bulky and all black and more menacing. And they just make such an impression. That and those red knight, oh my gosh, I love those. Those knights are so stupendous. And
the ones that guard Darth Vader
Yeah.
when he's in his his tube, his cryo tube.
And then
or
you've seen that also in the Last Jedi.
Last Jedi, they show up. Yep.
Mhm.
The
And
Red
the-
Guard.
the
The
Red
Red
Guard.
or something like that.
They're also teaming up again in order to do Solo, so I'm really excited to see that and how they portray
The
Solo.
designers?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the costume designers are David Crossman and Glenn Dillon are doing Solo as well, so that's really exciting. And I'm always astounded by the amount of hard work, once again, from the hair and makeup department. I mean, to bring back those old characters and just the awesomeness of the special effects creatures and like the creature shop creatures are so amazing. I actually want more. I'm like, there's too many humans. I want more creatures.
Yeah, that visceral, when you know that that's something that you could really reach out and touch as opposed to just being CGI, Anyway, so, but overall, it's a beautiful film.
It's so beautiful.
Beautifully shot. It's actually the DP was the same guy who did, the cinematographer was the same guy who did Lion. It's a beautiful movie. And yeah, Gareth Edwards, the director, he did Godzilla, which, you may think this or that of it, but it was a beautiful movie. And the images that were created, I mean, a lot of people are like, why didn't Godzilla show up until later? Well, it was very artistic the way that he did show up when he did. So,
and that's weird to Darth Vader, because he was talking about that Gareth Edwards was talking about in the special features that the reason why he didn't have Darth Vader come out so soon was because he said, if you get Vader, you just want more Vader.
Yep.
So he waits. Gosh, it's just so good, like the timing when Vader arrives and the moments where he is on screen. You're just astounded by him, his prowess, his he just makes you scared, like you tremble inside when Vader comes on screen, and they just used him so wisely.
A lot of people just talk about that hallway scene as one of the best scenes in all of Star Wars,
It's just
movies. So yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful. And I think about this film as maybe sort of the start of, because spoilers, everybody dies in the end. But I think it's sort of our beginning of our obsession with death in movies. So many big movies recently have just had everybody die, I mean, spoilers, Infinity War, and, a lot of death in The Last Jedi, and a lot of the more recent Marvel films have featured a lot of just endings of things, and really, that impact of somebody, really dying or something ending in the third act with, even Thor Ragnarok, with Ragnarok blowing up and watching the death of the Starks in the end of Civil War, and all of these films where we're just like, we want stakes. We want to know that that this could be the end of this or change that, and it's just we want to feel like it means something. Now that we've seen all these Marvel movies, we've seen the Star Wars movies come about, and we know that they're going to be beautiful. We know that they're going to be fun and funny. We're just like make sure that we feel something when we leave. And man, I mean, when you leave Rogue One, you're just like, dude,
you really feel it. You really, I mean, it's devastating, but it's also really well balanced with humor. Because
K2.
K2SO. So beautiful Alan Tudyk. I mean, you just have more reason to fall in love with him. I mean, the man is a genius. Like, he's just hilarious.
Firefly. He was a robot and not a robot.
He's just voiceover for. He's Hey and Moana, for Pete's sakes. Okay, if he could do a chicken right, the man can do anything. But the humor and the showing him like how he's this like crossbreed of human and android, and how at first they were like, oh, let's make him like a black C-3PO, and it's like, no, he's not really that. They reconcepted his body, and they actually look back on drawings that were from other the
Droids.
old the droids from the movies from the 70s, and saw this thin body, you know, droid, and how much more elegant and how high, and then Alan Tudyk is, yeah, of course he's British because, you know, he acts a little stuck up, and he is, but you love him for it, and he's just awesome. He's this really awesome human element that is represented in an android.
Yeah.
And he is so funny.
So good.
Funny.
So
And
good.
you know, and Diego Luna and Felicity Jones carry you through this movie. You care about them so much. You care about, you know, doing the right thing versus, you know, like Anthony was talking about, is like, it's the letter of the law, the essence of the law, and that is really prominent in this movie. Like, do we stick to what we're supposed to do and like kill people, like how Diego Luna's character Cassian was supposed to kill Jen's father, and he couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it, and she knew. She's like, "You're there to kill my father." She's like, "Yeah, but did you see me do it? Did I do it? No, I didn't do it." And it just really shows like how sometimes these, you know, we ask things of people, or people are asked of them, and they can't do it.
That line, you know what I mean? Like what, you know, it talks a lot about people's sort of personal line and the lines people have had to cross and the things people have had to do that they're reckoning with, you know? And
I mean, the team of Rogue One is made out of people who aren't proud of themselves anymore and done things for the rebellion that they're not proud of, you know, and therefore they rebel. They're rogues. This is about those part of the rebellion who are rebelling against the rebellion.
Yeah.
And fighting for the greater good against, you know, the Empire. Sorry.
Yeah. It's cool.
So much
kind of a weird
Star
parallel
Wars.
between this and the end of The Last Jedi, where they're like, you know, this is the last bit of the rebellion. This little group, you know, it's either they do it or nobody's going to do it. You know, in the end of Rogue One, you know, if that little group didn't jump out there to try and find the Death Star plans, the rebellion would have disbanded. It would have been no more. So, you know, that idea of the fire, you know, the spark that lights the fire for the rest of the rebellion, I mean, that little group going down, you know, to find the plans, it causes the entire rebel fleet to come, you know, in a mass for that amazing last battle. We always love the part where the Star Destroyer is kind of turned off, you know, dead in the air, and then they send that, like, they call it a Hammerhead Corvette to just like ram it, just like full power.
The little are mighty. The little are mighty.
The little are mighty, yeah. Now, when I watched it again, I was like, that's smaller than I remember it being.
It's
but
tiny.
Yeah.
It's tiny compared to those destroyers.
But it's
like,
in space, you know what I
it's
mean?
like 20th of its size.
It was beautiful. Oh,
So,
so beautiful.
Just so you know, if you haven't seen this movie and you want to
Why are you watching? So that's
watch,
cool.
you know, like a lot of times people are like, oh, do I need to watch this in order to watch this other movies, or in order to, you know, appreciate these other movies? Like, no, but it's just a really cool prequel that they decided to make a part of the Star Wars world, and I think it held up its own as a film individually.
It
really added, yeah, because you really cared about how they were able to accomplish what they did in episode 6, because this movie is
So
4. I'm sorry, between 4 and 5, right?
No, this is between 3 and 4.
3 and 4. See, I apologize.
Which
all the Star
actually
Wars
goes
fans
along
and
with the theme, because at the end of 3, you know, Anakin turns to Vader, and it's like, you know, the Empire is taken over, and everything's so dark. And then this is about, you know, that spark that lights the New Hope, you know, the original, you know, Star Wars, A New Hope. And this is all about that hope. So it's a wonderful just transition piece, you know. So it had this really great little niche. So I'm not sure how these other movies, like a Han Solo movie and a Boba Fett movie, are going to add, you know, be able to add to it, because it's like, well, are you helping the story along? Like in Marvel, a lot of times what these other movies are doing is they're kind of filling in the world. You know, like Ant-Man's doing this while, you know, Doctor Strange is doing that, and Iron Man's doing this, and it's sort of filling in these little things that, you know, it's filling in part of the world, as opposed to just saying like, well, what happened to Solo way back when, or what happened to Boba Fett? And a lot of people are like, well, that was the problem with episode 1, 2, and 3. It's like, well, how did Vader become Vader? It's just like, well, if you're adding and you're really like giving a lot to it, then that's great. But at the end of episode 3, it's like there was this old world that is completely demolished, and now you just have this new world that begins with a new hope. And it's like, how did that really add? It didn't really add to it. It was just something to know that has no resonance on the present moment,
and then
really.
now Rogue One's a beautiful little bridge.
Yeah, beautiful. Like it adds, you know. So when you make these movies, make sure they add and aren't just sort of whatevs, you know. So yeah. Anyways, so hopefully the next video that we do is going to be Solo. If you have any ideas on what sort of tofu veggie dish sort of thing might go with
a Han Solo night.
Space
Please.
tofu, let us know, please. So,
Space tofu.
so yeah, be sure to like and subscribe. We're having fun doing this. We hope you're having fun watching it, and we'll see you next time.
All right, take care.
See ya.
Signing off.